Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas, and with GTA 6 on the horizon, it's time to take a look at some games that I feel are really good open world city games. Now, what defines an open world game? Well, a world you can walk around in, go in places and do things. What defines a city game? A game in a city, obviously. Duh. But today I want to take a look at 5 games that I specifically think are brilliant open world city games, and they're probably a good idea for you to kind of get into before the hype train of GTA 6 starts. So without further ado, here are those 5 games. First up is a game which, although I feel is open city and works really well, it's more of a crime solving game, and you probably guessed what it is already. It is LA Noire. Now, this originally came out on the Xbox 360 and PS3 way back when, and this is the kind of remastered version. But ultimately, you play as Cole, right there, and you've got to solve mysteries, long story short. But the city itself of LA is set, in the olden days, and it's really awesome to explore. It looks vibrant, it looks colourful, it's just really nice. The idea of the game being, solve mysteries, but because you're out the car and solving mysteries, you can see like little details of the city that you wouldn't otherwise see in some other open world city games. You just kind of drive right past it. So I feel the detail in LA Noire is actually above and beyond what other games were for back in the day on the PS3. So, like I say, even though it's a crime solving game, I think it works really well as an open world city. Next is a game which I feel wasn't as good as the original, Watch Dogs 2. But the reason I'm having Watch Dogs 2 in this list is because we're basing this on open world cities rather than the game itself. And I feel like the city of San Francisco in Watch Dogs 2 is a fantastic open world city. I didn't care much for the story of Watch Dogs 2. I got it because I like San Francisco and I just like the look of the game, and it was really cool. Just amazing to walk around some of these almost real-world locations. And it's games like this which I feel do deserve spots, like in more games, to be based on a real-world city where you can actually go around. Like Grand Theft Auto is sort of based on real-world cities, but they're their own city, they're made-up name cities, whereas this one is actually set in San Francisco, and it's tried to replicate certain areas of San Francisco almost perfectly. So for an open world city, it's really good fun to walk around in and enjoy. Next is a tough one, because I've gone for Yakuza 0. Now, obviously, the Yakuza series is mostly set in the same kind of city, but because this is set in the 80s in Dotonbori and in Kamurocho, which are two kind of made-up cities, but they are very similar to real-life cities, I feel because those two cities in the entire franchise are the main two hubs, this has them both, and this being so easily accessible is a great game to start with for the open world cities in Yakuza or Like a Dragon. I could have gone with something like Yakuza 7 or Like a Dragon 7 or Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is all the same game. But this one, I decided to go with Yakuza 0 just because I like the style of the 80s city more than anything else. Next, kind of going back to the 80s again, although I'm going to show you 2 games now, I'm only going to refer to one, and this is Shenmue 1 and 2, but I am only specifically talking about Shenmue 2. Let me put this down and explain why. The reason I want to only talk about Shenmue 2, I actually have the Xbox version here as well, is because that is more of a city than the first one. Hong Kong and Wanzai in Shenmue 2 is huge, and you could easily get lost in it and just enjoy yourself and forget about the story of Ryo trying to track down Lan Di. It's absolutely amazing. And then you end up in another city after that, Kowloon, the walled city. But that's not as good as Wanzai. So, yeah, I would say for Shenmue 2, the original open world city that you end up in with all the quarters is a fantastic city to go and get lost in. Now, you can look at that and say, well, they are very Asian. And unfortunately, yep, I am going to stick with another Asian one because we've had quite a few now. But this is Sleeping Dogs. To me, this is unbelievable. Like, for someone who loves this style of game, like, you could think of this as a bit like Grand Theft Auto, but set in Hong Kong. That's the way you can look at this. But you're not necessarily playing as the bad guys, you're playing as the good guys. Him, Wei Shen. And the city itself is colourful, vibrant, amazing, massive, huge. There's stuff going on all the time. There's secrets everywhere. And although this is the PS3 version, I do have the remastered version as well. I played Sleeping Dogs a couple of times. And if you are really, really into Asian cities, then maybe try Sleeping Dogs. It's definitely worth it, in my opinion. Now, obviously, open world city games aren't for everybody. Some people prefer the luscious lands of something like The Elder Scrolls, or the wasteland of Fallout, or something like Zelda. Not everybody is into a city, but I specifically am. When it comes to something like an Asian-style city, I love it. I can't specifically tell you why I love something like Sleeping Dogs, even though that game itself is well over a decade old at this point. Or why do I love the Yakuza Like a Dragon franchise, the City of Kamurocho? I really couldn't tell you. But when it comes to a city game, I would much rather prefer being in an Asian city than a Western city. But that's not to say that I don't like Western cities. As I mentioned with Watch Dogs 2, I love San Francisco. As a city, it's one of the very first American cities I went to as a child, and being able to kind of walk around virtually in San Francisco is just absolutely incredible. And I do like the idea of the futuristic style of San Francisco. When it comes to something like Cyberpunk 2077, I didn't want to include that in this list, simply because it doesn't feel like a city game, if you get what I mean. It is too futuristic. I kind of wanted to be a bit based with this video, stay a little bit on planet Earth, as it were, because obviously Grand Theft Auto 6, when that comes out, is, yes, although it's not going to be hyper-realistic in the sense of, you can literally have crime, punishment, whatever. But the idea is it's set in an actual city. Yes, that actual city is fake, but you get what I mean. Cyberpunk 2077 was too futuristic and too far out there, whereas the cities that we've seen here obviously are much more realistic in terms of what they are. But I would love to know what sort of open world games you like. Do you like open world city games too? I absolutely adore them. I can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 6, and I could easily go back to any of the Grand Theft Autos that have existed and just explore the cities there, because they are so much fun. They are vast, they are immense and awesome. Or are you somebody who much prefers an open world like Zelda? Please do let me know in the comments below. And there should be some little buttons all around me now with some other videos. If you fancy clicking on any of those, having a look at my collection of video games, or some analysis video of me whinging about video games. And there's a little subscribe thing somewhere down there on the video. So if you would, please do. And hopefully I will see you in one of my next videos.